welcome back to the HR Show Experience. Today is a new day and I wanted to do a little bit more of a serious topic. I saw Taylor Armstrong from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She had an interview for her husband's suicide on ET. And when I was watching the interview, I said I really have to come and make a video about this because, you know, it was really making me feel some type of way. If you didn't know, Taylor Armstrong, her husband, committed suicide. He wrapped an electric cord around his neck 3 times and hung himself. First, let me say that my heart goes out to Taylor and to her daughter and to her family because, you know, regardless of the type of relationship that they had, may have been abusive or not, that's still a loss in their family. So, you know, my condolences still go out to them. But in the interview, she was talking about how he said that he was scared that one day he might kill her accidentally, like he might hit her and she might fly up against something and she might kill herself, or he would grab her by the hair or beat her and get knots in her head, but no one would know because, you know, she does have that lovely hair. Girl, your hair is pretty. Smacks and punches in the face and heavy cursing and all like that, and there was cursing going on in front of their daughter and all types of different things. She said that Russell was very big on, you know, not trying to leave evidence of his abuse, you know, which is definitely something that a lot of abusers do. You know, they'll scar you mentally, you know, they'll beat you all in your body and all upside the head where can't nobody see you, but they're going to make sure your face just stays as pretty as the day. And let me also just say before we get even further into this that I'm not a doctor, I'm not any type of nothing, I'm just this guy sitting here in front of his camera making YouTube videos. But I do feel as though I have common sense and I know how I feel about the situation. So, you know, I'm just here to share my thoughts with you. The very last time that she was abused before he tragically took his life, he had hit her in the face, in her right eye, and he broke or fractured the bones in here, and she had just had laser eye surgery, so it had wrinkled the cornea or something was going on with her eye and she could have lost her eye. And she and her husband went into the doctor's office and he sat with her the entire time. He told her to say that she was kicked in the face by her daughter. And the first thing I'm thinking to my mind is like, oh my gosh, what a terrible thing for your husband to tell you, to blame his abuse to you on your daughter. I think that's just ridiculous, and that's his daughter too. Clearly, red flags were going up, and, you know, people were a bit more inquisitive and whatnot, but her husband stayed right by her side. I feel, I don't know the situation. To me, you're sitting by my side, you just did this to me, you know what's going on. So you're sitting by my side, one, because, you know, you're just trying to see what's going on. I don't really feel as though that's really so much caring about the fact that you did that, but especially because you made her lie about it. So that's not even what it is. You're just so much sitting there so that you know that she doesn't, you know, break down in front of these people and snitch. Russell did have a history of mental illness in his family, and Taylor is also a victim of childhood domestic violence. Russell was also taking medicine for his outbursts and his temper and whatnot, and it was working, but before he committed suicide, he had stopped taking the medicine because he felt as though it was taking the edge off of him, you know, it was making him too mellow, and, you know, in his field, he had to be very aggressive to make these negotiations, you know, very business, very man, very, you know, all those things, and the medicine, he was feeling that it was taking that away from him. I feel as though you can't, when you're prescribed medicine like that, you can't just stop taking it. You know, you can't. You have to, if you are feeling that the medicine is not working, you don't take it upon yourself to stop taking the medicine. You need to go to your doctor and say, listen, we need to change the dose, try a different brand, try something different, a different something. But he also did mention that he did not want to grow up to be one of those people that have an entire bag full of medicine that they have to constantly keep taking. And I say all of this to say that domestic violence is something that is not to be tolerated at all. Numerous times we kept hearing her say, like, you know, do I call the police here? Do I call the police now? You know, this hurt a little bit more. Am I supposed to call the police? You know what? If you don't want to call the police, the first thing you can do is leave, especially if you have a child. And let me also say that, you know, everyone's like, oh, I don't want this person to go to jail because that's what she said. You know, she loves them and this, that, and the fourth. You know, I think that when you're in a situation like that, everybody is confused. the person that's abusing you is clearly mentally ill, right? So when you're living in that situation with them, I just feel as though you're also slightly becoming mentally ill along with them, to go along with the simple fact that you're letting somebody speak to you in that manner or abuse you, period. That lets me know, to me, that there's some type of low self-esteem or some type of something going on in the background, because that should not happen. If someone's hitting you, you need to leave. You need to get, like when they're gone, you know, whether you got to walk, whether you got to run, whether you are butt naked running through the, like, Beverly Hills, okay? You need to leave. You need to get in your mind that, especially if you have a child, that this is not a place for my child and this is not a place for me. And if you can't do it for yourself, you need to do it for your child. Because let me explain something to you. If you are in a situation that is abusive and whatnot, I personally think that it is better for you and your child to leave that situation than to stay there. I would rather my child grow up without a mother or a father than to sit there and be with that mother and father than for them to be subject to all the verbal abuse, the physical abuse, you know, and all these other things. You know, I think that we put too much stress on the fact that, you know, everyone's saying, oh, you should try and work out your relationships, you know, this, that, and the fourth. Well, guess what? I think that's all a bunch of BS, okay? If someone's hitting you in your marriage or your relationship or whatever, the relationship is over, okay? The second people start to get the fighting and whatnot, clearly it's gone too far. Because there's a whole lot more. People don't just jump from 1 to 10. And if they do jump from 1 to 10, that's so that you know that they're crazy and you should run regardless. At one point in time in the interview, Taylor's daughter said, like, Mommy, are you happy in this situation or whatever? Let me also say that if your child has come up to you and has said that, that's a sign right there that clearly something is not right. If my child, who is how old, is coming to me, and I'm the person that's supposed to be protecting my child, and they're telling me, are you happy in this situation? Something's not right. Red flag, bells going off, let's come to understand. Well, let me also just say, I think that when it comes to domestic violence and you know that, you know, someone is living in that situation, I'm not saying for you to go and jump in the middle yourself. I'm not saying that you need to go and fight somebody. I'm not saying you need to be telling somebody advice or whatever. But if you're seeing something and it's constant, or someone is coming to you, and to me, I feel as though if you're coming to me to tell me that someone's beating you up in your marriage or your relationship, you're asking for help. I just kind of feel that way. Because why, if you didn't want help, you wouldn't have said anything. You would just sit there and endure it, right? But, and well, I won't say that if you didn't want help, but if you're coming to talk about it with someone, I just feel as though that's another way of asking for help. And I'm not saying that your name even needs to be in it, but I don't see why that an anonymous call can't be made saying, you know, I have been informed that, you know, that there's domestic violence going on, da-da-da-da. You know, everybody does not need to say a name to just help a situation get better. You know, if you know something's going on, I think it's slightly just as guilty for people. That's like somebody robbing a bank. You saw who robbed the bank, and you're just going to let them go free. Okay, well, you saw or heard, well, I won't say heard, but you saw or were told by that person that so-and-so and such and such is beating them down, and you're just going to let them go? How much sense does that make? But I'm sorry, I don't mean to go on and on and on. I'm sure this will not be my very last domestic violence video. But this is something that I really have a problem with, because I could never imagine hitting a person that I was with. You know, especially if I claim to love that person. Because if you love somebody, you're not going to try and hurt them. Especially not physically. And that is, when going back into it, you need to understand what the feelings of love are. And like, when you're in a situation like that, I think it can become misconstrued. I think it can be, you know, a bit hazy, a bit fuzzy. Everybody's trying to understand. There's so much going on at one time that you just can't process it, you know? And I think that if that is the situation, you do need to tell somebody. You need to tell your mom, you know. It doesn't matter if you're grown. Go tell your mommy, okay? You go tell her. tell your father, you tell your brothers, you tell your sister, you tell your best friend, you tell your boss, your preacher, your cat, somebody, just to get yourself talking so you can be able to voice it so that when it's time for you to speak on it, so that the situation can be corrected, because domestic violence can be fixed so quickly. You start off, you leave, then you start talking to people. You have to leave and you have to talk about it. And at that point in time, if someone's going to put their hands on you and put you in danger, clearly they don't care about you anymore. Okay? Clearly. It's very clear. And if the type of caring that they're doing, you don't need in your life. And you shouldn't want that in your life. At all. It doesn't make sense. To me, at least. I'm sorry. You hit me, I'm gone. Out. The information for the hotline for domestic violence is in the description if you need it. I hope that this video has helped someone, at least one person, to, get out of a bad situation, let you know that you are worth the time of day, that you are worth the love, that you are worth happiness, you are worth all of those things, and so many more. Please click that subscribe button if this is your first time watching me. And also leave a comment letting me know your feelings on domestic violence. Have you been a victim of domestic violence and got out? Feel free to share your story down in the comments. You never know who could be reading and might come across it and be like, oh wow, that's just like me. Maybe I should do the same thing, and get out. Okay? And if something's going on, I'm so sorry that's happening to you, and I really hope that you can get in a better situation. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.